going to start off the show by diving into last night's preseason game between the Colts and the Bengals. Ultimately, finally getting past the preseason games where it feels like there is a lot to take out of it, 100%, and I've been enjoying that football is back, but ultimately we all know we're not here to watch preseason. It's about regular season games, and that starts up in a couple weeks, so very exciting there. But last night we did get a pretty extensive look at Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson, who obviously has been, I wouldn't say struggling to stay on the field, but last year wiped out with a season-ending shoulder injury that was coming off of as well, where he had a concussion a few weeks prior. So Anthony Richardson went through the ringer a little bit from a physical standpoint last season in his rookie campaign, but a lot of people are anticipating him to bounce back really strong and emerge as one of the top young quarterbacks in the league. And I am definitely hoping that that is the case because Anthony Richardson, with his frame and his specific skill set, I think he can be must-watch TV in terms of being a bruiser, having that athletic ability like a Lamar Jackson, but also having that extra bit of size and toughness to him, sort of like a Josh Allen, that I think could make him absolutely one of the most fun quarterbacks in the league. But as we saw last night, there were some ups and downs with him. And I think that that's something that's important to consider when, especially, he's been just getting so much love. Now, some of it fantasy football-wise, but just been getting a lot of love throughout the offseason. Jeremy Lapidus, one of our hosts here at the GSMC Sports Network, he had a hot take earlier that Anthony Richardson could be in MVP conversations. And while that's definitely possible and it's something I'm rooting for, I do want to pump the brakes a little bit. What we saw from Richardson last night is that he is capable of putting together methodical drives. The opening drive for the Colts, that was all scripted out, important to consider there. Obviously, NFL, all football teams really typically tend to script out the first drive or two, and Anthony Richardson was phenomenal on the first scripted drive, where I believe it was 7 of 8 that he completed his first 6 passes, helped lead the Colts down the field 80 yards for a touchdown, where he was able to link up with Anthony Mitchell, also a really great sign for the Colts there, that their young quarterback and their rookie receiver, who sort of just fell into their lap during the draft because of potential character concerns, is what Anthony Mitchell was being dinged for. But Mitchell is a baller, and he showed off a little bit of that last night. Only those couple catches on the first couple on that first drive, 2 catches, 18 yards and a touchdown, but encouraging to see there. And again, Anthony Richardson, it's not like he was making any of these incredible throws, but it was reading what was in front of him, especially the RPO that they ended up running. He was able to hit, might have been Alec Pierce over the middle for a pretty nice pickup then. I think that a lot of credit goes to some of the other players as well for the Colts stepping up. I think it was on 3rd down, again, might have been Alec Pierce, where Anthony Richardson actually threw it back to the line of scrimmage, but Pierce had room, so he was able to climb up and get the first down yardage there. And it was encouraging for sure. Keep the simple things simple. But from there, once the Colts started to go off script a little bit more, things fell apart for Anthony Richardson. The offense entirely stalled out, 3 punts, and Richardson even threw a pick 6 in there as well, where it just seemed like him and his tight end weren't on the same page. He was expecting the tight end to maybe sit down where he was or break to the inside, but he ends up going outside. Richardson puts it in the wrong spot. It was more of a miscommunication, I think, than anything else, which honestly might not even be the worst thing in the world, where I thought that his accuracy, his precision, his touch was a little bit off from post that first drive. And that's just the thing with Anthony Richardson, is he has all of the tools and he's very capable of becoming a full-time franchise quarterback. But I feel like people are sort of rushing to give him I wouldn't say praise is the right word because he deserves praise, but I think people are trying to put him in conversations that I just don't know if he's ready yet. The Thursday Night Football crew, they put up a graphic during it was one of the second or third drives, and it was that Anthony Richardson has played in just 22 total starts since 2019, in the past 5 years. And this is somebody who went top 5 in the NFL. I think he was 4th in the 2023 class, and he started just 6 high school games, 12 college games, and 4 NFL starts. So that is, well, you can also probably include, I guess, 23 if you're counting week 1 of the preseason, but ultimately, obviously, we know those don't really matter. The point being, though, Anthony Richardson is still very inexperienced, and he's young, and I think that there is time for him to iron out some of the precision issues with him, but I'm just not going to, get ahead of myself when it comes to the evaluation of Anthony Richardson and what he is in the now and what he could lead the Colts to in 2024. I feel like we should just be taking a deep breath and just trying to see, before we put him in any sort of crazy conversations, let's just see the kid start a full season and sort of watch what it looks like and figure things out from there. Because I get it, he is everything that you could possibly ask for if you're an NFL fan in terms of an entertainment standpoint, what he could bring to the game if he is able to hit his ceiling. But again, we have not seen extensive experience from Anthony Richardson, and with that, you're going to have a lot of errors along the way. Sure, the interception that he ended up throwing was miscommunication. I feel like those are the plays that are very easily fixable once he gets those more reps. So I'm looking forward to that. But again, just the touch and precision is sort of where I have at least slight doubts. I don't think he's looked all that sharp passing out of the pocket through his first couple preseason appearances, whether it's throwing high, not being able to hit guys perfectly in stride. You can see there are steps that need to be made in the passing game before Anthony Richardson becomes everything that he is being slated out to be. And I'm not trying to be overly negative on him. We're talking about 2 preseason games, so obviously very, very small sample size, pretty unimportant sample size. But I think that sort of ties into the sample size of Anthony Richardson actually playing football at a high level is also very, very small. And people are starting to throw him into these conversations that I just don't know if I'm ready to get there yet. Richardson was a late bloomer in terms of the pre-draft process ahead of 2023. He sort of won the offseason that year. We get those types of quarterbacks every single year. I think that J.J. McCarthy was a little bit of an example of that in this past year's draft. And Anthony Richardson, again, very capable. I'm definitely in on him for the long run, but I have to see more before I'm willing to plant my flag in him. And obviously, I think that some of this stems for me coming from fantasy football projections, where a lot of people have Anthony Richardson as a fantasy football quarterback, number 1 in the NFL, maybe top 3, top 5, depending on where you're looking. Fantasy football isn't reality, which is important to consider. So maybe I'm unfairly dinging Richardson because I've just seen so much love for him in fantasy football, which is fair because we know that he can run. And the Colts are going to have an excellent rush offense, I feel like, this upcoming season with him and Jonathan Taylor together with that offensive line in front of them. And the Colts should have a good offense in general as well. I mean, they have good skill position players. They bring back Michael Pittman. They have Josh Downs. They draft Adonai Mitchell. They're deep in the tight end room. There are more than enough options to help Anthony Richardson succeed, but I think we're going to see a lot of rough moments from him, honestly, this upcoming season, which doesn't have to be an indictment on who he will forever be in the NFL, but I do feel like it's just something that I think I'm just walking a lot more cautiously with Anthony Richardson conversations than a lot of other people seem to be. But let me know in the comments section what your thoughts are on Anthony Richardson and what expectations should be asked of him in 2024. Because I think the bar should be much lower. Let's just see the kid play, and then we can start to have some conversations. But I think he's, to some degree, being set up for failure a little bit by the way he's being talked about. But again, maybe I'm just being too picky. You let me know in the comments section. But finally, excited to get past these preseason games. We'll definitely be talking about them early next week because it's football. We love football. But, NFL right around the corner, the regular season is. So definitely looking forward to that. And speaking of which, it is an especially important upcoming season for Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets, who are basically playing for their careers at this point. Aaron Rodgers is. Robert Saleh is coaching for his career at this point. Joe Douglas in the front office. All of these guys have tremendous amounts of pressure on them in this upcoming season. And if things don't pan out for them, they might all be out of their current roles headed into 2025. So I want to talk about the Jets, my expectations for Aaron Rodgers coming off of this Achilles injury at his age 41 season. What does he need to do to be able to deliver a successful season for the Jets? We will be discussing that and more when we come back on the other side of the break. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back.